AD, how were all of the? We all good? We all a hocker? Just thought I'd come on here and do a quick live this morning. Just been watching TNT, Tim Newton News. Great, I'll say broadcaster. I'm not sure he's doesn't like people using the word journalist, so I'll call him broadcaster, YouTuber, whatever. And I was suggesting in the comments that I might go to the border area today. I'm in Si-Keo, so it's kind of the province that borders with Cambodia anyway. Not the Trat border. That's down more towards Chambéry or Chambéry, I think it's called. Not Chambéry, Chambéry. Some beautiful temples down that way. And the answer, or the reply rather, was a be foolish thing for me to do. And granted, we go into an area where, the Thai army is firing at the Cambodian army, and vice versa. The Cambodian army are firing back at the Thai army. It's a weird one, this whole conflict. The talk is about the border itself. Where if you like, where the line in the sand is drawn is to say which land belongs to which country. I've visited the disputed area before, about 18 months ago, so well before any of this recent conflict in the last 6 months or so. And the border itself is, I won't say it's a closed off border, but it was definitely not a border that is heavily used by either side. The Thais going to Cambodia, or Cambodians coming through to Thailand. The actual border itself on the Thai side, I've never visited it from the Cambodian side, but the border where this conflict is going on the Thailand side is lots and lots of rubber tree plantations, lots of agricultural farmland, and then it goes up a little bit of elevation up into the mountains, and then obviously back down again, and it gets towards the border. So it's not a heavily populated area at all. In fact, 18 months ago when I travelled to the border there, I don't think hardly any cars passed me coming from the Cambodia direction, and there wasn't really any traffic following behind me either. So this border area, it has never been an actual, not like Trat or even Trat though. The people doing the border runs from, say, maybe Phuket and places like that may have used the Trat border, or maybe they're flying to other, to Cambodia instead. But even the Trat border, when I was there, and like I say, this is about, well, actually that wasn't 18 months ago, but it was about, I'd have to look through my YouTube videos to find out exactly how long it was that I was in Trat. There's a shrine there that I visited, and there was a lot more. I know when I left Cambodia, before all this conflict happened, on the bus, well, actually walked across, and then obviously got the bus in Thailand back to Si-Keo. The Trat border crossing is a lot more, it's used a lot more, whereas the border with Si-Keo, it was never really used. I went there on a recce. Basically, I purchased a motorbike. Well, actually, it was before I purchased a motorbike. So at the time, when I went to the border with Si-Keo and Cambodia, I was hiring a motorbike. But I was looking for information online as to whether or not you could cross over from Thailand there using the motorbike, and the information online was a little bit wishy-washy. I couldn't really find a definitive answer. So obviously, living in Si-Keo province, I thought I'm on board one day, rather than just rely on the information online, which isn't always technically true. Just take a drive to the border, which is what I did. I drove from my home here in Sassaket, near the city, to the border, and so I know the area. I wouldn't say I know it well. I only visited the area once, with the intention of just going to the border and asking the border officers the simple question, "Can I take a motorbike across?" And the answer was no. So I know the road to the border. I know how bad, or at least how bad it was then, because Thailand's roads are very well maintained. But that particular road did have quite large potholes, so it was, not maintained very well. And Thailand's obviously not going to maintain roads that aren't heavily used, is obviously my theory. Like I say, whether or not in the say 18 months or so since it was that I visited the border area, maybe that in that 18 months they've repaved it, put a new layer of bitumen down, or recovered the road. But I suggest the road's probably in the same sort of condition that it was 18 months ago, before any of this conflict was happening. So other people are saying about obviously the call centres being a major reason for this conflict. Well, if that's the case, then why is the fighting going on around the border area? If you look on Google Maps, and then obviously in Google Maps you rely on how old it is, but Google Maps will show you that particular area there isn't any large structures at all. So they're not looking to the Thais aren't looking to get into Cambodia and then start closing call centres down near the disputed border with Sesika. There is no call centres there. It's all about the temple. This conflict, I honestly believe it's all about the temples themselves. And if you look on Google Maps, you'll see the temples currently stand on the Cambodian side. And I suspect that the real reason is Thailand wants that area under their jurisdiction, so then they can obviously benefit from whatever commerce, money and merit making and donations and visitors to those temples, because I think there's several within a few miles of each other. And it's obviously not too far from Siem Reap city. I think it's about 2 hours from Siem Reap. So if you're visiting Southeast Asia and temples are like myself, temples are something that you want to visit. Obviously, Angkor Wat is 100% going to be on your list of places to visit. And if you're going to go visit Angkor Wat, you'll probably stay in Siem Reap, and the border with Sesiket and the disputed area where these temples are isn't too far from Siem Reap. Doesn't seem to me that you can, even 18 months ago when about that, when I was in Cambodia, maybe less, maybe a year ago or so, I looked at crossing back into Sesiket from Siem Reap. I went to Angkor Wat, had a look around, stayed in Siem Reap, and I was going to come back to Sesiket, obviously the closest border, which wasn't Trat. Trat is kind of taking me away from where I live here in Sesiket. And it didn't seem, there wasn't any bus services or anything like that. So it appears that they've never really wanted visitors in that area, even before this conflict. I wasn't so heavily into visiting temples at that time. Obviously, Angkor Wat was on my list because it's world famous in that sense. So but I didn't actually do much. I drove around Angkor Wat area. I didn't really go so much inside the temples themselves and look around at close quarters. I found my love for visiting temples a little bit later than that. Basically, the beginning of this year, beginning of 2025. Once I purchased my own motorbike and was able to visit more, without having to rely on other people. You know, so yeah, I'd like to obviously visit the temples. I've had this mad idea to go to the border and take a gong with me, one of these giant gongs that people strike, because I don't think the temple area, Priya, is got anything like that. Because, like I said, I don't think that there's too many visitors, even before the conflict. I don't think there's too many visitors going to that particular area at all. And like I say, it's a protected area anyway. Leading up to the border itself, there's a national park, and it's not just a national park that you can just drive to and walk around and explore. It's a gated road. There's security or military or whatever, to the forested area. And it's obviously closed off because it's protected for environmental reasons. So the area is always has been to some extent off limits. So there's no real reason for anybody to be cancelling holidays to Cambodia or to Thailand, unless obviously you know that particular border area and you wanted to visit the temple. Then yeah, like I've been advised today, don't do it. Don't go to the border area. It would be a foolish thing to do, and I agree. Stray bullets, because both sides, they're not aiming at each other. They're not taking sniper shots at each other to actually. They're literally, from what I've seen on the news and social media, they're in dugouts, they're in trenches, and they're literally sticking their heads up out or the guns out and just firing into fresh air, basically, and they're not actually taking shots at each other. So for safety reasons, yeah, that me visiting to the area just so as I can have a close look to see what's going on would be really foolish, granted. But I just want to, I want to visit the temples, but they're on according to Google Maps at least, they're on the Cambodian side. So maybe if I do have, really feel the urge, the real need to go see the temples, it looks as if I'm going to have to, unless obviously they do move the border line, which is clearly what Thailand wants. They want to take that area into their control, in as much as they then can reap the benefits of the temples that are there. Because temples can be big business. Angkor Wat is world famous, isn't it? So if Thailand can have a little slice of that historical side of temples, because I think a lot of visitors to Thailand, when they go to Bangkok, they fly into Bangkok more than likely. They go to Phuket or Pattaya and places like that. You're not really visiting historically old temples. You'll be visiting what I call the touristy temples, and the ones on the Si-Keo, Thailand Cambodia border, they're ancient monuments. Like Angkor Wat. Ayutthaya, not too far from Bangkok, I'd say is probably the nearest thing to Angkor Wat in that sense. And yes, visitors to Bangkok will no doubt go to but even the temples at Ayutthaya are extremely touristy. I'd say the mix between tourists and Thai people is probably heavily more so on the Thai people. The Thai people love to go visit Ayutthaya. I think it's kind of one of the number one places for them to go make merit. It's, you know, it's very peaceful, very spiritual place to go and visit. Yeah, Ayutthaya really had a massive effect on me spiritually. It's hard to say exactly why or how it happened, but then it wasn't even in one of the big famous temple complexes. But yeah, Ayutthaya had a profound effect on me. It kind of made me realize that, you know, the differences between the old and the new. You know, a lot of these new temples, you know, these shiny gold new temples, can often be nothing more than just a tourist attraction. You know, they don't have Disneylands or, you know, things like that in Thailand or Cambodia or Southeast Asia at all, I don't think. But you know, Buddhist people love to visit temples. So, and it seems to be the older the temple, the more history it has, the more of a draw it is, the more of the locals will visit. You know, these temples in Bangkok are extremely beautiful. The architecture, you know, the statues, you know, the images of Buddha are really beautiful, and they're massive, and they're very well made. But they don't have the history like the 300, 400, 500-year-old, 600-year-old, or even, I don't know, maybe a 1,000-year-old temple structure. I honestly think there's more to it. You know, maybe it's just my wacky way of thinking, but maybe some, and I've mentioned this before, maybe that now they've got these satellites that can do radar imaging. I'm thinking that maybe they've scanned that particular area and have found maybe more, you know, temple complexes or something like that. You just don't know, because, like I say, there's still a lot of forested area, you know, jungled area around near the border there. So, and it's kind of closed off, you know, because of the ecology. It's a national forest. So maybe they've scanned it and now found that there's other structures within it. On which side of the border, you know, it's anyone's guess. Because obviously Thailand is claiming one thing, it's ours, and Cambodia are claiming the same, it's theirs. So, you know, if there has been any new discoveries from, say, satellite LiDAR scans, you know, ground penetrating radars scans, it's anyone's guess. You know, the Cambodians might have, you know, got hold of some information that there's more to this temple area than is currently known about, and maybe, you know, it's more towards the Thailand side, because there is no real hard border there, as far as, I mean, there probably is now. They've probably put up, you know, strung a lot of barbed wire around that particular area, but before it was a pretty open area, and like I say, jungled area, forested area, so it would have been very easy to cross over from one side to the other. I'm sure now there'll be a lot of barbed wire, but there's no, you know, massive, you know, 10-meter tall wall around that area at all, because like I say, it's largely jungle and you know, a little bit mountainous, and there's just really not a great deal there at all. So all this scaremongering, you know, these some of these YouTubers living in places like Buriram, you know, saying that they can hear and feel things. I'm sorry, your armies and military, air forces and such like have bases. They have to take off and land to somewhere. So to hear and see airplanes taking off and landing, that's just normal, isn't it? You know, even without any sort of conflict, That's normal, you know. If that's where the bases are, that's where they're going to be flying and landing into. Um, and to say that you're feeling, the explosions, yeah, I very much doubt that. I very much doubt that. I don't think there's any basis for either side to really start sending rockets off. They're, in my opinion, it is only my opinion, I haven't visited, but that's why I want to visit the area. They're just taking pot shots at each other, you know, a little bit tit for tat. There's probably no snipers involved, you know. They're not, really wanting to kill each other on either side. Both sides, I think, have been very close allies to each other, close neighbours, close friends over the years. So for them to actually want to kill each other, I don't. That's not the name of the game. It's the temples, purely and simply. I think yes, there's an element of the scam center talk, but that's on the international, scene. That isn't really a localized, fight. Yeah, which is what obviously this is. It's a very very localized fight to a specific part of Cambodia and Thailand, which from what I've seen with my own eyes, having visited that border, and also then looked on Google Maps more recently, I don't think there is any call centres, scam centres, whatever you want to call them, in those areas. Anyway, yes, they're going to be near the cities, so why the conflict over this particular border area? To me, it has no relevance to the call centres, the scam centres at all. If that was the case, then they'd be doing more liaising with each other, the Cambodians and the Thais and whoever else wants to stick their nose into the picture, with the scam centres. Chinese, for instance, because obviously these Chinese people have been trafficked to these places. So if they want to, if this is anything to do with that side of things, then that's just sitting down, or telephone calls, emails to each other. Look, let's get together. This bad stuff is happening. It's bad for everybody. Let's go in with the backing of whoever, the UN or some trafficking, protection team. I don't know, Red Cross, or I don't know if that's what they do, but and let's try and get these people, or at least the ones that want to leave these scam centres, let's get them out of there, and just leave the Chinese. Apparently it's the Chinese run. Let the Chinese just carry on without the people working in them, because obviously if they have no workers, then obviously they'll naturally close down, I'm sure, unless obviously AI takes over and these people aren't even needed, which I suspect will probably be the next course of events anyway. I'm sure AI can do these fake conversations that these scam centres do. So yeah, it's a weird one, it really is. And like I say, I honestly think that the real picture here, the real reason that they're having a little bit of a spat over the area is to do with the temples and the revenue and the money that it can bring in. I don't think it has anything really to do with these call centres whatsoever. That's I think an entirely different story altogether, and it has nothing to do with this conflict. How or why it's all bubbled up and resurfaced again, like I say, I suspect possibly they've had some new developments, and the news isn't coming out on the main media, because obviously at the moment, or historically, there's been this backwards and forwards as to say, look, you know, this area was under Thailand maps before. The French came in and tore everything up and redrew the line in the sand, and repositioned the border. And now, obviously, Thailand is saying, well, no, we never agreed to that. That area was, and we never agreed for you to remap it and give that area to Cambodia. To be fair, Angkor Wat is very, very, very well known. I wouldn't actually know the numbers, of visitors, but I'm sure it's in, probably the tens of thousands, possibly even edging towards hundreds of thousands. But I err on the side of caution and say there's tens of thousands of visitors to Angkor Wat each year. So obviously it brings in, a lot of money. Now, from my experience of visiting temples, the ones that, because Angkor Wat, as old as it is, and as spiritual it is, and as important as it is, doesn't really have many locals go visit it. It's not like a merit-making go visit kind of temple. It is really, it was never designed to be a tourist attraction, but Angkor Wat is become kind of a tourist attraction. So the local Cambodian people don't use it in the regular sense, as their local village temple, where they go and make merit and go seek guidance from one of the monks or such like. You're not going to get that from Angkor Wat. It's just literally a tourist attraction, and Cambodians will visit it, but they'll visit it more as a tourist rather than someone who's going to make merit or such like. And there's temples in Thailand that are just as old, but they do seem to have more of a merit-making element to them. They more of a traditional usage of them, and not so much, in the way of tourism. With Thailand has old temples too around Ayutthaya. I think it's certainly a lot more compact. So the temples are in a much smaller area, so they're easier to go to. Whereas the ones in Angkor Wat, they are, because it's such a large area, they're spread over miles. So yeah, it's big business at the end of the day for tourism, and some of them make lots of money from merit-making people, the Buddhist people making merit and giving donations to the temple and such like. So they're money-making. I won't say the businesses as such, because they rely on generally what's already there. So if they're 300, 400, 500, 600-year-old, 700-year-old temple complex that's seen many a conflict over the years, some of them a little bit, not much more than just ruins now. And just the likes of me like to go visit and see with my own eyes what's actually there. Is it just the actual ruins of the temple building? And that's pretty much all that you're now seeing. Well, there's plenty of that all over Thailand, and obviously Cambodia too, and other places like India. There's loads of old temples that have been discovered. I visited Goa, oh my god, nearly 30 years ago, I suppose. And there's a temple complex there that was lost for hundreds and hundreds of years, and the jungle had basically taken it over. And that's how it was lost to the history books, and it was then rediscovered again decades later. It is as much as there is on the border between Thailand and Cambodia, a lot of jungle area. I don't think, from what I've seen on Google Maps anyway, I don't think it's as densely forested as this discovery of an old temple in Goa that I visited. I mean, it's amazing to see how the jungle has basically taken over a temple, and trees have kind of pushed their way through it, and it makes it very magical. In that sense, to see the land, the trees taken back, from the land, literally just going straight through structures, and it not, totally bringing the temple or the structure down to rubble. There's I don't know. I've got a feeling that's what this is about, folks. I think that they've done some scans of the area, and I got a feeling that there's more to it than's being spoken about. I mean, it's just just a mad idea that maybe there's more structures, or that there's more to this border area than meets the eye. And they're just keeping stum, they're not saying. Or it is, as I say, as simple as that Thailand wants those temples on the map as bit belonging to Thailand. They can pave the road, put that place back on the tourist map. Because I don't think it's on the tourist map for Cambodia either. Even though it's only, I think, 2 hours from Siem Reap City, I didn't see any. Well, I looked to see if there was any buses or any transport going that route, and they didn't seem to be anything. So the only people from I can kind of guess would be even going to that area of Cambodia and Thailand, the border position there, would just be the locals. And sure, some of them might go make merit or go play there, and that'd be it. There'd be nothing there other than the relics of the past, kind of thing. Certainly no tour buses or anything like that. You might have had the odd stray tourist like myself, maybe hopping on a motorbike and drive into the area, but that would have been, I think, about the only way to get there. And living on the Si-Keo side of the border, there's definitely no talk of those temples and tours going to the border, because according to Google Maps and also what I've seen myself, that the temples are on the Cambodian side. So obviously the Google Maps is using the map that no doubt the French drew up. I should call it one of these economic free zones. There you go. That will solve all the problem, won't it? Call it an economic free zone. Bring your border force people a bit further back from it. And just call it an economic free zone, because clearly it's not going to really make much of a difference if it's not or hasn't ever really been an open border as such. No real trades coming through there. There's no commerce going through there, so it's not affecting anything on either side as far as transport of goods and services or people going in and out in either direction. Trat, which is further down on towards the coast, yeah, that obviously had a lot more transport and people crossing. Um, the area of Si-Keo and Cambodia, never has been, as far as I can tell, a border to be crossing. So to why they even have a border there, I think it just gives them the reason to then have military there, you know, and guards and all the rest of it. It's not a border that anybody visiting Thailand, or even visiting Cambodia for that matter, it's not a border area that you would have ever used anyway. So it's a bit of a nonsensical argument for the conflict to be over the border. It serves no purpose currently, or hasn't served any purpose for many years. A lot of the buildings, like the customs building, or the quarantine, like animal quarantine hospital or centre, whatever you want to call it, those buildings are old and decrepit and are fallen down, and quite clearly on the Thai side haven't been used for many years. So that border, it's worthless to some extent. It serves no purpose whatsoever. So it has to be, in my mind anyway, and obviously it's the kind of I think the bigger picture is the temples, and that's the annoying thing for me. What, you know, the conflict is over whose land those temples are on. So, but the both sides of the fence, if you like, both sides of the border are Buddhist. Obviously, because it's slap bang on the border, and there is no great, fence or wall as the border, it would be easy for people just literally to just walk in and out of each other's countries. So then that, obviously for smuggling and all that kind of stuff, that would be an area that could be easily, done. But there's not been any talk of, people smuggling in it as much as people crossing themselves, like Mexico into America, and that, that kind of, way of thinking, like to stop mass migration and all that. It's all about the temples and who controls the temples, providing they can then open up the area, because at the moment, or has been for many years, I wouldn't say it's like it's certainly closed off from the Thailand side for many years. So you would have only had to, if you wanted to visit those temples, you'd have to visit them from the Cambodian side. And as I say, I looked to see if there was buses from Siem Reap to the border there, and there isn't. There's no transport going to that area from Siem Reap, which you would think, well, if you want to go to Isan from Siem Reap, then that would be the closest, easiest way of getting into Isan in Thailand. But no, the only way from Siem Reap is to go from Siem Reap all the way to Trat, which, if you live where I live in Si-Keo, and you're doing a big old loop, massive loop, adding on probably 5-6 hours to your journey. Whereas if you look on Google Maps, there's Si-Keo has its own border with I don't know if it would be technically classed as Siem Reap province of Cambodia, but certainly within a lot easier, more direct route has always kind of been closed off from what I can tell. So, thinking of going to the border, what do you all think? Am I a fool to even consider it? because what am I going to see? The road itself will no doubt be closed off, so won't be able to get too close. The road itself is largely jungle or forestry or lots of rubber tree plantations going through that way. So visually, if I go to the border to have a look, I'll get stopped, no doubt, on the road before I even, get anywhere too close. So it would be a bit of a waste of time. But the only thing that I could, go into the border and report on is whatever I can then, see from up in the sky or hear from a distance. So, it's not as if I'm going to actually be able to take any pictures or make any videos of any real action as such, because clearly that they would have pushed the borderline further back, probably on both sides. I'm assuming. I mean, I'm curious to see from the Cambodian side, because on Google Maps, that's the access to the temples. Doesn't seem to be any real access from the Thailand side to the temples. So, yeah. What action would I actually see? Probably not a great deal. So, but it's from where I am. It's not a long journey to make. Although actually, I've got a slow puncture on the motorbike, so maybe get that fixed before I consider doing it, because it's quite it's a very rural area, so there is not even so much as many people, therefore not many motorbikes, therefore not many motorbike repair shops. So yeah, maybe I won't go to the border just yet. Maybe it'd be a better idea to get the slow puncher fixed on the motorbike before attempting to go do a recce to the border. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you all think. Am I crazy to even consider going to the border? Like I say, I'm in the province of Si-Keo. It's not far. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours to the border from where I am. Am I crazy to even consider it? I don't know. Anyway, folks, it's been nearly an hour now. So thanks for popping in and joining. And yeah, let me know what you think of my intention to go have a recce of the border. Am I crazy to go to a conflict area where the Cambodians are firing to the Thais and the Thais are firing back to the Cambodians? Who knows, I might get a stray bullet and end up dead. Oh, anyway, life goes on. Clearly, if I get shot visiting the Thai-Cambodian border, life will not go on. But I just want to see with my own eyes exactly what part of Thailand ends and where Cambodia starts, and to see if I can actually see or even get to temples. I mean, I don't want to inflame the situation by making such a big deal over it, but my channel is about visiting temples, and I've tried to go to that area previously before any of the conflict started, and it was a closed off area from what I can gather, more to do with the protection of the jungle, the forest around there, like a protected national park. So I don't think I'd see a great deal if I was to go back there, other than what I've already seen previously, which is a lot of nothing. So anyway, signing off, TTFN.